Okay, let's go over some properties of the absolute value equation, specifically the graph of the absolute value equation. So the first thing I'd like to identify is absolute value equations have a vertex, and the vertex on an absolute value equation is the highest or lowest point on the graph. Visually, it looks like a wide or narrow angle. If you look at our graph, the vertex is located at the origin 0, 0, 0, 0. Passing through the vertex will be a vertical line of symmetry. Absolute value equation graphs have a vertical line of symmetry located on the y-axis. So you can see here. And when we're talking about a vertical line of symmetry, that means I can fold this graph over this vertical line, and the left part and the right part will line up on top of each other. So, and that since that is the y-axis, the equation of the vertical line of symmetry is x equals 0. The domain of an absolute value equation graph, the domain of an absolute value equation is all real numbers. That means you can take the absolute value of any real number. So if visually on this graph, say I selected the value 1.5, the absolute value of 1.5 is 1.5. The absolute value of negative 2.1 is positive 2.1. So for every x value, you can take the absolute value of that number. Visually, that means from the x-axis, I can draw a vertical line to the graph. So from any x value. So let's say the x value is 2. I can draw a vertical line up, and I will make it to the graph. If I choose negative 3.7, I can draw a vertical line all the way up and make it to the graph. The range of an absolute value equation is y is greater than or equal to 0. Geometrically, you can think of this as, since you can think of the absolute value in terms of a number's distance from 0, this amounts to saying a number's distance from 0 cannot be negative. And visually, when we look at this graph, it means when I start at the y-axis and draw horizontal lines, I will be able to meet the graph as long as I start on the y-axis somewhere greater than or equal to 0. So at 1, I can draw a horizontal line and I meet the graph. At 3, I can draw a horizontal line and meet the graph. At 0, the horizontal line, I mean, if you want to say that you're drawing a distance of 0, we're splitting hairs here, but y equals, the graph does exist at 0, 0, so the range includes 0. However, if you look below the graph, if you look at the y values that are less than 0, say for example y equals negative 1, no matter how far I draw this horizontal line to the right or to the left, I do not meet the graph. So that's how I know that negative 1 cannot be in the range. And if you look at what we have for the range, y is greater than or equal to 0, that doesn't include negative 1 or any of these other numbers that are below 0.